You made a commitment. You've recently changed from that comfortable forehand grip over to that Continental grip because you wanted to unlock a real consistent serve. But now with the Continental grip, the consistency you used to have is gone. What I've observed on court with players who's making this transition is an incredibly frustrating pattern. Half of your serves go wide left into the adjacent court, and the other half are these weak, low trajectory that go straight into the bottom of the net. When we look at the footage of this miss, a clear biomechanical flaw jumps out. You're not pronating correctly. When there's no active pronation, the racket faces to slide across the back or even the side of the ball. Mechanically, you're slicing it. So how does the rest of the tennis world try to fix this structural flaw? Most coaching looks at your Continental grip and tells you to pronate your arm at the contact and shows you how the strings are pointing square to the ball during the contact. In my experience, this tip usually won't make students aha, but rather leave them with even more confusion. This is simply because they haven't done pronation before. In Roost Tennis Lab, we address one problem and solve one problem. That's it. And that single trigger starts with how you guide the frame. By the end of this video, you're going to walk away with a highly repeatable, physics-first mental model. We'll dissect the exact mechanical breakdown of your forearm rotation, and then I'm going to hand you a highly specific 3-step on-court drill to wire this into your kinetic chain. When we analyze hundreds of intermediate players moving to the Continental grip, the problem isn't that they're misunderstanding the concept of a good serve. You just don't know exactly what parts of your body need to move. Because you lack a clear physical blueprint of that forearm rotation, your body defaults to a mechanical breakdown. Let's look closely at how differently the body moves in these two different swings. On the left, you're trying to hit a consistent serve but end up just slicing the ball. Because the strings are glazing off the side of the ball, there is no forward push and the serve is not consistent at all. On the right, after mastering your pronation, look at the difference. You need to realize that the magic happens during that upward arc. This is exactly where your forearm rotates to square up the racket head to the ball. This precise rotational mechanic is what injects a little burst of the racket head speed into the contact window, giving you the exact leverage required to both push the ball forward with pace and brush the ball for clean, repeatable consistency. Now, before we get into on-court drills to build this feeling, if this type of mechanical breakdown makes sense to you and matches with your learning style, hit the subscribe button so you're not going to miss the rest of the tennis series. Let's build this sequence from the absolute ground up using 3 highly isolated movements. Step 1, the ground roll. Stand on the baseline with a ball beside your foot on your dominant side. Assume your Continental grip and stand facing your back to the net. Reach down to your foot, dropping the racket head low, and roll a tennis ball straight toward the net. Without allowing your wrist or your elbow to move independently, use your shoulder and a forearm rotation to roll that ball backward. When executed correctly, you will feel your palm is smoothly pointing to the net as you roll the ball back. So make sure that the strings are pointing straight to the net at the contact point. This tells you if you're twisting your forearm properly. Now, once that shoulder activation is locked in, we move to step 2, the reverse bounce. Stand on the baseline facing a back fence. Bring your racket up into a relaxed, abbreviated trophy position. Take a tennis ball in your non-dominant hand and drop it straight down below your elbow. As the ball falls, lower the racket head and bounce the ball onto the ground using forearm rotation. You're basically doing the same twisting movement from the first step, but it has to be quicker because the ball is dropping through the air onto the court. Now we're going to practice this feeling with real hits using 3 different speeds. Step 1, the abbreviated takeback. Start with your racket already resting in the drop position behind your back. Give yourself a low, controlled toss and execute a short, crisp upward strike, focusing purely on leading edge first until contact. Step 2, the pause trophy phase hit. Bring your racket up into a full, classic trophy position. Halt your movement completely for a full 2 seconds count, then toss the ball. From that dead stop, launch your elbow upward and twist your forearm to strike. Step 3, the full fluid sequence. Tie the entire kinetic loop together into one unpaused, continuous motion, allowing the edge lead to flow naturally into a full first serve sequence for 15 repetitions. Where the ball actually lands over the net does not matter at all in your first few tries. To get the precise feel of this essential forearm rotation, you don't even need a tennis court. Just grab a bottle of water right now in your hand and do a simple pouring motion. As you pour, do you feel your forearms actively rotating and your palm points down? And that exact muscular and skeletal movement is pronation. You're basically doing the exact same pouring movement when you're holding your racket with a Continental grip and swinging your racket upward and forward. Now let's be completely honest about what's going to happen when you try this on court. Your brain is absolutely going to scream at you. Because this is the movement you've never tried before, it's going to feel incredibly weird and awkward. You have to push past that initial awkwardness and accept that pronation is an optional styling choice. It is the only way to get extra power and more consistency. This video isn't only the piece of puzzle, it is actually part 2 of our complete serve series. What I've noticed is that if your body setup or stance is off, hitting with the edge of the racket becomes incredibly difficult. If this is something you're running into, you need to pause here, step back, and check your stance using the basic steps we went over in episode 1. On the other hand, if your edge lead feels great during these drills, but notice your contact point is still changing from day to day, you're ready for the next step. In episode 3, we're going to look at exactly where to toss the ball so it perfectly matches with your upward swing. Hit that save button right now to keep this 3-step checklist into your library.